Awesome. Well, tonight we have some really great questions that came in, and we are ready to answer some questions for everybody. Plus, we have some really great prizes. And so for those of you guys who don't know Rachel, and I know there's been a lot of new people, Rachel has a fantastic company called Rachel's Remedy, and this is the Rachel of Rachel's Remedy. What it is two products now that I want to talk about, and they're actually the prizes tonight. Rachel's Remedy is it's right here in my hand. I have an actual one right here. And what it is, it's a warm and cold pack that can be heated or frozen, and it applies moist heat. So there's like a little fabric piece here that can be made wet and then applied right to this, which has a backing that's waterproof. So this can be moist heat that's applied to your breast that goes right inside your bra. And we'll talk about in a little while why moist heat is so important and so beneficial when you're breastfeeding, when you're pumping, when you're dealing with plugged ducts or mastitis, or just to help the milk flow. We'll talk about that more as we get through some of these questions. But this is a great product because you can actually walk around with it. You don't have to be soaking with washcloths, right? So
that's dry, so it's so nice.
It keeps you dry. How many of you guys have seen Rachel's Remedy before, or how many of you have one? Let's get some feedback here. And if you don't have one and you want one, tonight the way you win the prize is you actually have to be here tonight to win the prizes. We are going to give it to somebody who's here in the chat, somebody who you need to like or love the post as always. And then I want you to comment here and tell me why you like or love the product and what you love about it. Why do you need it? And so that's going to be the way to enter, all right? And then, Rachel, I want you to tell them a little bit about the new breast pads because these are awesome. And
I'm so excited about these.
First of all, I love washable, reusable breast pads. It's definitely my recommendation for all moms. I think everybody should have some reusable, washable pads like this, as well as disposable for when you go out. But definitely when you're home, not using paper all the time is really important. So
it's really important. And one of the problems that a lot of moms were having with the reusables was a lot of moms were getting yeast infections and their babies were getting thrush because of the warm, moist area. Yeah. So we developed breast pads that have antimicrobial and antibacterial silver applied to them. And they're made from organic cotton Sherpa. And they have waterproof backing, so total leak protection. And they're soft and luxurious and wonderful. Mm-hmm. And they have all of this protection from yeast growing. They actually stop and prevent the growth of yeast. So they're the only ones like it on the market, and they are amazing. We're getting such good feedback.
They're awesome. And I love how they're two-sided. You know, a lot of them that you see, they're not like this. They're the one side, like she's saying, that Sherpa is really, really soft. So that's what's going up against your nipple. So you're going to have something really soft up against the breast. But this side is a waterproof side, so it's going to prevent that leaking. And it's really smooth. There's no seams like across the middle of it.
No,
it's great too.
So soft and smooth, and I just love it so much because it was just lacking so much in the market that there was nothing to protect you from bacteria and microbes. It's not just yeast that we worry about. Of course, it's mastitis too. So this helps to prevent all of that.
Absolutely. You know, what happens, why that can help to prevent mastitis is because when the nipple has any kind of cracking in it, and sometimes that does happen initially after you first have the baby, you can have cracking. And those little areas are places where bacteria can enter the breast. And so you combine that with some engorgement, some cracking, and you can end up with mastitis. And so it is really important to try to prevent that bacteria growth from occurring. And that's what I love about this. It's such a great idea.
Yeah, they're wonderful. And now they're at Target.
And now they're at Target. Yay. We love Target. We love Target. Awesome. Yeah, disposables. Cassandra's saying disposables are so annoying. They roll up on me. Washables don't. They hold my letdowns.
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. You know, paper's just not the best thing to have against your skin 24/7 anyway. And, you know, not everybody needs pads the entire time that they're nursing. Most moms will need them in the beginning when they first have their babies, but then eventually a lot of moms don't need them during the day and will still sleep with pads at night because that's when your breasts are a little fuller. They usually leak a little bit more. And so these are great pads for using during the night throughout the whole.
So great. Yeah, they last through the whole night. And I remember when I was nursing, going to when I had to have long work days and I really wasn't leaking anymore. Yeah. But I would always wear nursing pads out of total fear of having, who knows, of leaking. And so I would just wear them anyway, even though I wasn't even leaking anymore because I was always so scared. But to have the paper against you all the time is not something that's feels good. It's horrible. So
no, it really doesn't. I mean, they're good when you go out because they get wet.
Yeah.
Awesome, but for every day. And for most of the time, even when I went out, I used washable pads, but not ones these good. They didn't have these back then. So.
They're nice.
They're very nice. And we do have one other prize that we also have the breast support pillow. I know you guys have been loving this. This is the breast support pillow. And this is the pillow. And they come in different sizes. So I'm holding different ones here. These are the pillows that support the breast when you're nursing. These are the ones that you put underneath your breast to hold the breast up, whether you're large breasted, whether you have multiples, or for anybody really. It starts at like a C cup. And they really do make a difference for anybody who understands that feeling of needing to hold your breast to get a better latch. This actually holds the breast up in place, so it makes for hands-free breastfeeding. And I absolutely love the breast pillow too. So that's going to be our other prize as well tonight. So we've got three winners tonight. Yes. Actually, we're going to have a fourth winner, because I have one more prize of my own that I'd like to give away tonight. So you guys have all been hearing me talk about our new membership site that is officially open. Okay, and tonight I'm going to be giving away a 1-year VIP membership to our community and My Baby Experts membership. So, and if you want to win, you need to just, again, same thing, love this post and comment here. Tell me why you want to win. And, for anybody who doesn't know what's included in this membership, the entire library, my entire library is over there. So if you're wondering where all these videos are, all 140 episodes that we have, plus the other 800 videos and all the other, I think there's 80 Q&As. Or something like that. And we're in the process of time coding everything. So you'll be able to find what you're looking for, plus all of my full-length classes, plus a private Facebook group where I do private Q&As and I work with you more personally. That's all part of the membership. And Joe's going to go ahead and put up the link right now so anybody wants to learn more about it. But someone's going to win a full year today. So
awesome.
Yeah.
That's a great prize.
It's a great prize. That's a great prize. Yeah, it's exciting. And I also have one more surprise for you too. I created a little mini series that I want you all to join. Okay. It's, the myths and facts that I do, Rachel. So yes. I do the post where I create those myths and facts, and they were really popular. Everybody likes to hear about the myths and the facts. So what I did was I created a little 5-day mini series for everybody, and they're little videos of breastfeeding myths and facts. And if you want to, and it's totally free, and you can sign up to get them, you'll get them into your messenger every single day. All you have to do right now is just type the word myths, MYTHS, right here in the comments, and you should get a message. So we're going to test the technology for a moment here. Everybody go ahead and type myths if you would like to get access to my little mini series that I created for you. All right, and then you tell me if it's working, okay? You should get a little message from me. But don't go watching it now. Watch what we're doing, because we have great information. You don't want to miss this. It's going right to your messenger box. You'll have it for later, and then you'll be able, they're all typing myths now. And I want to see some thumbs up if you actually get a message back when you do that. We're testing the technology, right? Yeah, it works. They're telling me it works. Yay! Awesome. It works. Okay, I hope you guys enjoy it. Fantastic.
It's so great, because how many times do you hear things from relatives and you get advice from every direction when you're a new mom, or even you've done it before, but you get all this advice about breastfeeding and you don't know if it's things are true or not, and I love the myths and facts. I wish I had them when I was breastfeeding.
It's one of my favorite things to teach about, because and I think the reason, especially when it comes to breastfeeding, is that there's so much misinformation. Yes. It is like, everybody has a different opinion. Everybody's saying something different. You're like, what's right? What's wrong? And then things that you think, well, I've heard it a million times, it must be accurate. And then I'll go and I'll post, well, that's just actually a myth. It's not true. Mm-hmm. And it's really surprising to, but it makes people feel better to know the reality, the real information, to feel like you have that knowledge so that you can make a good choice and you can make the right choice. And most of the times, those choices are actually the choices that are really your gut instincts anyway. And I'm kind of saying, yeah, that's actually accurate. So I know that's how people feel. And when they read them, they're saying, yeah, that's kind of what my gut was telling me.
Right. But you always second guess yourself when you hear other things.
Oh, totally. Always second guessing. All right, great. So lots of people signing up for the myths right now. Fantastic. Yay. I can't wait to hear. I want to hear some feedback from you guys. Not right now, later. You're going to be getting one every single day into your messenger box. Watch the little video and then go ahead and post on my page and just let me know how it's going. I want to hear about it and know how you like that, because it's something new we're doing. Anyway, should we move on to our first question?
Do it.
Okay, let's do it. All right. So I am answering a question from Maria. And Maria said, is there a difference between hand pumping and an electric pump? I find that when I need to pump, I don't get a lot of milk, and it's with a hand pump. I've never used an electric pump, and I'm wondering if it would give me more milk. My son is 9 months and refuses bottles. So when I need to pump, I just use my hand one, and I only pump 2 to 3 ounces. Is that normal? So that's a great question, because she's asking two different things here. And one is about different types of pumps and, what do we need different pumps for and what works better. And then on top of that, she's also, again, it's the whole myth thing of like, what's normal when it comes to the amount that she should be getting. So I'm going to first address the different pumps. And, when it comes to using a manual pump and using an electric pump, for most people, a double electric pump, if they're back to work and they're going to be expressing milk with a pump multiple times a day, I usually recommend a double electric pump, because it's going to cycle and it's going to allow you to express more and of the milk, to get the milk out quicker. And you can do both sides at the same time, which is going to save you time and energy. And you can usually stimulate multiple letdowns, especially if you know how to use your pump, which you should all know how to do at this point with my instructions, right? But the manual pumps do come in handy. And for a lot of moms, what I hear feedback is that they have a hard time with any kind of electric pump. So it's really very individual. Some moms actually do better with a manual pump, and some moms actually do better with hand expression. No pump at all, where they're really just using their hand to express. What I would say is that if you're going back to work full time, you're going to be separated from your baby for any extended amount of time, I would get a double electric pump. If you're using your manual and you feel like that's working better, always keep that in the bag with you and try it. Some people just, when you turn on that electric motor, it doesn't do it for you. Think about it. Pumping is a hormonal response, and not everybody can respond the same way. And so you can try hand expression, learn how to do it, and use both. Sometimes when you're trying to increase your supply, doing some hand expression after you've used your pump can really make a difference too, because it can get out that last little bit that the pump just won't do. And I hear that all the time, is that I finished pumping, I couldn't get any more out. And then when I manually expressed, I still got more out. Do you remember that? Because I remember that for myself too.
Definitely.
Right? And so it's a great way to increase supply as well. When you're just trying to get those last drops out, manual expression is a great thing. The second part of her question, her baby's 9 months old, and she's asking, like, when she pumps, she can only get 2 to 3 ounces. That's actually great.
It's good.
Yeah, it's with a manual pump, and the baby's 9 months old. And I don't know how long you're waiting in between those feedings, but a 2 to 3 ounces is usually a normal pumping session. If you're pumping every 2 hours or every 2 to 3 hours, it's really not bad. You may be able to get a little bit more out with following up with your manual pump, following up with some hand expression. I don't know how she would actually do right now with an electric pump, given that her baby's 9 months old and she's been going this long without pumping.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's something that it would, on the first time, it certainly wouldn't be like a magic answer to anything. But one of the things that I love that you always show the difference in the bottles of what to actually expect and what you should be producing and what your baby's actually eating at different ages is so much less than everybody thinks. And that's another one of the important myths to bust, because, you shouldn't be pumping 8 ounces of milk.
We were just talking about this, and it's a whole conversation that I just did a whole class, and it's part of the membership is the low milk supply class. Mm-hmm. It's a fantastic class and talks so much about low milk supply being really one of the biggest issues that I hear from moms, breastfeeding moms. It really is the biggest issue out there. And when I say it's the biggest issue, it's because there's more moms worry about low milk supply than anything else. But the vast majority of the moms who do have low milk or who are worried about low milk supply it's actually a perceived low milk supply. Right. It's not actual low milk. It's like the question here from Maria. She's worried about pumping 2 to 3 ounces when really, and again, we don't know how long she's going between those pumpings, but on average, that's an actual that's a normal amount of for a breastfed baby. And so low milk supply is really not her issue. It's more of a perception thing. Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's a really good point. And yeah, I love the bottle picture too. I'll have to post that again. It's been a while since I posted that picture.
That's such a popular one because it's the biggest misconception, I think. When I remember when I came home from the hospital and I tried to pump and I could not even see a drop. And I was like, is there anything in here? What's going on? It feels like there is the baby eating? And then, little by little, I get the tiniest bit. And I was thinking I had to fill these huge bottles, that I was buying. And that's such a myth. So we started going to the smaller bottles. And that helped a lot psychologically.
I totally agree with that. And I actually think, when I'm giving advice about what to get, what you need, when you're breastfeeding, what should I buy? I don't recommend buying those 8-ounce bottles ever. Right. And I see a lot of moms who are like, I'm just going to get the big ones so that I have them and I don't have to, I'll have them the whole time. Yes. And I'm like, well, if you're going to breastfeed, you never need those 8-ounce bottles. Right. Get the 4-ounce. You get the 4 or the 5-ounce bottle. Most of them come even 5 ounce. Right, and you're going to, a 3 to 4, maybe 5 ounces is the most a breastfed baby's really going to ever eat the entire time that they're eating. And so, but when you look at 2 ounces, which is a normal feeding for a 1-month-old, 2-month-old, when you look at 2 ounces in an 8-ounce bottle, it's just covering the bottom.
I know. And it's oh my God, I'm not producing any milk. And it's the worst feeling. It's a total misconception. Yep. Yep. And it's never ounce to ounce with formula. It's not if the baby's going to have formula, it's just a different measurement. And you just can't compare it like that.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. I agree. Smaller bottles. Bottles. Yes, absolutely. Okay, let's see what they're saying in the chat room here. Rebecca asked, could introducing a bottle cause a baby's latch to change? Yeah, it absolutely could. Let's say this. I actually recommend introducing the bottle a little sooner than what you read. A lot of what you read out there is waiting 4 to 6 weeks to introduce a bottle, and I don't agree with that at all. What I would say is that you want to make sure that your baby is latching well, that nursing's going well, that your milk is in, you've established a good latch, and everything's okay. And that could be as early as a week, 2 weeks. But at that point, once everything's going well and your milk is in, you want to start introducing the bottle in small amounts, especially if you're going to be going back to work and you need to use that bottle. Because babies will usually develop a preference for a nipple by 3 weeks. And that nipple preference starts around 3 weeks. And that means that if you don't introduce a bottle, they could just never take a bottle. And that's exactly what happened to me with my second baby. She never took a bottle. I waited 3 weeks to introduce it and it was too late. And I'm telling you, we tried like 20 different nipples. We did everything and it was impossible. She just did not want to take it. And I was lucky because I had a retail store at the time and a medical practice, and I could bring my baby to work with me. I had a breastfeeding store, so it was kind of appropriate to like stand there nursing while I was talking to my customers and my clients. It was fine. But for a lot of people, like attorneys, right. Anybody, right? Like Rachel, you're not able to do that. You need to go to work, and so it can make things really, really hard. And so
I did the same thing, and it was really traumatic because I followed all those instructions about waiting. And so neither of my babies, I had such a hard time bottle feeding them and having anyone else feed them. And that is a lot of pressure for any mom to be the only source for your baby.
Absolutely.
So it's so important to start earlier. I totally agree, because it was hard to ever leave the house. And then you had to leave and go hide to try and trick the baby to get someone else to feed the baby, you know. It's
well, you know, and so it's a balance, because the question she had, which is, can it change the baby's latch? And it can. Right. So what you want to do is you want to introduce it, but you want to introduce it in very small amounts. Like I'm talking a half an ounce once a day, just to keep the bottle going for the first 6 weeks. Mm-hmm. And I have a whole chapter in my Simply Breastfeeding class that's, you know, in our library. And also when you get the Even Flow pump, you get that class. It'll teach you what to do to get ready to introduce that bottle, to make sure your baby will always take a bottle and breastfeed, and to kind of find that happy balance where you can do both. Babies do suck differently on the breast than they do on a bottle. You know, when they suck on the breast, they're sucking with their mouths wide open. Their tongue is actually protruding out as they suck. When they suck on the bottle, they're actually pulling the tongue back in. It's a different kind of suck, and babies can get confused if there's too much of it in the beginning. Mm-hmm. So it really is a balance. You know, you don't want to wait so long that they reject it. You don't want to wait or do it too much in the beginning where they stop breastfeeding.
Right.
And there's many, many babies, and babies are able to breastfeed and bottle feed and go back and forth between the two.
All the time. Mm-hmm. Right. But their milk comes out so much faster in the bottle that if they do get used to that also, that can be a problem too.
Absolutely. Exactly. That's why we need that balance. We really need that balance. Rachel, you have a video I want to show.
Oh, great.
Let's show the video. Okay. You talked so much about your pads, but I really want to go back to Rachel's remedy, because it's like, again, let's talk for a second about why Rachel's remedy. Why did you create the product?
I created Rachel's remedy because when I had my babies, I experienced really common conditions like everybody does breastfeeding with. I had mastitis. I had clogged ducts. I had repeated clogged ducts in the same side over and over again. I had engorgement, and I was lucky too, like you. I mean, I worked at home. I was a lawyer. I still am. And I moved my law firm home. So I was able to nurse at home, and I had some help, but I still developed all these problems. And the worse that they got, the more frustrating it is and harder to keep breastfeeding. And so I was so frustrated that there was no product on the market to deliver moist heat in a way that is needed to treat clogged ducts and mastitis and engorgement. So I kept talking about it. And finally, I just invented Rachel's remedy to treat all those problems. And, you know, we talked so many times about, I can't believe this isn't on the market. And there are other hot cold packs, but nothing that gives the moist heat that's really necessary. Mm-hmm. And so we talked about why that is. And, you know, I think a large part of it is that, and this is changing now a lot, but at the time, I think that there were so many men developing these products for women. And, you know, I think that the awareness really wasn't there. Yeah. And it was such a home remedy for doctors and lactation consultants to say, just hold hot washcloths in place, lean into bowls of hot water on your counter, you know.
Right.
And that's just no way to be able to function. So
Yeah.
So I got so frustrated. I invented it and stopped practicing as much law, and then completely dove into this, and I love it, and I'm glad that I did. And so now we partnered with Dr. Brown
too, because we helped so many moms. Oh, I hear it echo. Can you guys hear that?
Yeah, I can hear it.
Sometimes that happens. All right, let's play the video and see if it happens there.
Okay.
All right, let's see. Okay. Hold on. All right, now give me a second. There we go.
Rachel's Remedy Natural Breast Relief Packs provide moms with a convenient and effective solution for treating common breastfeeding conditions. The packs are easily assembled for quick relief. Simply moisten the cotton cloth under warm water and reattach it to the waterproof pouch. Warm the flaxseed pillow alone in the microwave according to directions, and test that the temperature is right for you before placing the pillow back inside the waterproof pouch. Alternately, the breast relief packs can be used for cooling relief by chilling the flaxseed pillow in the freezer and using cold water on the cotton moistening cloth. The breast relief packs can be worn discreetly in any bra, keeping clothes dry and mom's hands free. With Rachel's Remedy, moms can breastfeed longer and less painfully by treating their breastfeeding conditions conveniently, discreetly, effectively, and naturally.
Yay!
Yay! Awesome.
Awesome.
All right, let's see. There we go.
And so one of the things that we found so much when we started was that we were really focused on just clogged ducts and mastitis and engorgement. And then we were getting all this feedback from our customers and our moms saying, oh my God, my milk supply is increasing so much when I use this before pumping or nursing. So it's just incredibly beneficial for that too. It's great.
Fantastic. So many moms are dealing with plugged ducts, mastitis,
yes.
And also everything we were just talking about with pumping too, that, moist heat helps to dilate the blood vessels to be able to get the milk to express better. So it's always great to put the moist heat on before you're pumping, or even while you're pumping, or before you breastfeed. It's going to help you to let down, to release oxytocin, all those things. So
it actually helps to release that hormone that is so hard to get sometimes when you're at work pumping or with preemies, especially.
Totally. Christina, who's a friend of mine, she's asking, are these just for treatment or also prevention too?
Prevention too, definitely. I mean, any type of engorgement is a precursor for possible clogged duct or mastitis.
Yep.
So we always recommend to use them before nursing or pumping for about 20 minutes.
Yep.
And it helps to really release that milk. And so you don't want milk to ever be sitting there. You want to get it out, and then afterwards to use it cold to help stop the flow.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yep. It's great. And what's so great is that it's waterproof. So you put it in, you've got that moist heat, but your clothes stay dry. You can just kind of go about what you're doing.
Right.
And you're not having to sit there, like Rachel said earlier, with your breasts hanging over into a wall.
So comfortable.
You can multitask.
Hanging out on my desk here. But also it's so important as a preventative for mastitis, because if there's a clogged duct, that can so easily become mastitis if it's not treated. So it can help to release the clog so that mastitis is prevented. So that's another way that it's a really important preventative use.
Totally. Awesome. Okay, fantastic. Let's answer another question here. There was a question that I don't think I've ever answered before, and I saw it come in, and I want to answer it. Hold on one second. I want to find, here it is. It came in from Rachel. She said, could you talk about thrush? My pediatrician wasn't sure if my son had it because I don't have any breast pain, and she was mostly able to scrape the white off his tongue. If it's not anywhere else in his mouth, she said he may just have milk tongue. Is that a thing? And I want to address that because I don't think we've talked about thrush before. Mm-hmm. And actually we just talked about mastitis, plug ducts, and there's a whole other class, another full-length class that's part of the library on plug ducts, mastitis, and thrush. So that's a full class. It's an hour and a half that, goes through all of this and moist teat and everything else. But the difference between thrush and milk tongue, and what is she talking about with that? Some babies, when they thrush is a yeast infection that can develop in the baby's mouth and also within your breast and on your nipple. And it causes pretty severe pain on the nipple and also through the breast. Usually in between feedings, you'll feel like a sharp pain shooting through the breast, or very, very sore nipples that are not necessarily cracked. They're just very pink. They're very bright red. They hurt. And then you can sometimes see that white film on the baby's tongue, and usually they have to be treated as well as you being treated. The thrush it's not always thrush, and what she's describing here as milk tongue is that sometimes, and this typically happens more when a baby has a tongue tie, where if the baby's tongue normally sits on the roof of their mouth. But when the baby has a tongue tie where they're not able to lift the tongue to the roof of their mouth, sometimes that milk can accumulate on the tongue, and it does sit there, all right, because it's not being kind of moved off by the hard palate. And so that can be an indication that there could be a tongue tie. So that's something to think about if the baby has that milk tongue. When you say, can you scrape it off, that is a way to kind of tell. If it is thrush, you're not going to be able to scrape that off the tongue. So it's going to stay on the tongue. If you can scrape it off, it's usually milk. And so there's some other thing going on there. Why does that baby have milk all over its tongue? But thrush is something that does need to be treated, and it won't be able to be scraped off. So those are two. And so, yes, it is a thing. I just don't think we ever talked about it before. So I wanted to make sure that we mentioned it. So yeah, I would say if she can scrape it off, then it's probably milk tongue. If you're not having any breast pain, I don't know how old your baby is from your question, but I would also have someone evaluate the baby's mouth, and probably you want to go see a really good lactation consultant, an IBCLC, who's trained in being able to identify a tongue tie in your baby, all right, and make sure there's no other issue. Because even if you're not having pain in the nipple while nursing, tongue ties that go undiagnosed or misdiagnosed or not treated can end up with low milk supply. Moms can end up with a decrease in milk supply later down the road, as well as those babies having issues with other things like feeding and speech and breathing and other things. So it's not just about breastfeeding, and it's not just about having breast pain in the beginning.
Right.
Good question. Good
Very
question. Rachel. Yeah, awesome. Rachel, meaning Rachel who asked the question, and thank you, Rachel, for listening. I wanted to, let's just see here. I have Kate saying Joe to pin Nikita's comment. I can see it, and I'm going to read it here. This is from Nikita. She said, I'm so interested in your contest for membership for your website. I'm a night shift charge nurse in a NICU.
Oh, wow.
And I get so many questions, concerns about breastfeeding and pumping from our NICU moms. Unfortunately, I'm not a mother. I have no personal experience, and I have not yet been able to take any formal education classes. We don't have lactation specialists available on nights. I'd love to use this opportunity to learn myself so that I could better serve the moms on our unit. Thank you. That's wonderful, Nikita.
Great.
Isn't that so great?
That's wonderful.
So great. And I can relate so much, Nikita, to what you're saying there, because I started off as a registered nurse. I'm a nurse, I'm a nurse midwife, I'm a lactation consultant, but initially I was a registered nurse, and I had started off working in a labor and delivery unit and also in the newborn nursery. I was 22 when I started, and I had no kids. And I have to say that in nursing school, we had no education on breastfeeding. It was so minimal. We came out of nursing school, and this is what she's describing here, is that there's pretty much no breastfeeding education at all. Then we go to work in these units and we're expected to teach moms and support moms on breastfeeding. And it can be really difficult, especially if you've never, even if you've breastfed before, that doesn't necessarily mean that you know everything there is about breastfeeding to be able to help somebody with their problems. Every person is different. So I think this is something that's really important. I really honor her for writing this here because it's the truth, and I know that. And I think it's really good for moms to know this going into the hospitals, to understand that when you have different people walking in and out, giving you different information from 1 minute to the next, and you're wondering, how can they all be right if they're all saying something different?
Yeah.
This is part of the issue that I see for breastfeeding, especially here in our country, is that there is so little education among the professionals. I'm talking nurses, I'm talking doctors, pediatricians get very little breastfeeding education. They are not breastfeeding specialists. And so this is what I see over and over again. And it makes it really hard for parents because these are the people you turn to help you, make healthcare decisions for your child. And yet this is not their specialty. And so that's why you want to really make sure that you're looking for an international board certified lactation consultant, someone who really is specialized in breastfeeding and supporting moms to breastfeed. I was a midwife. I was delivering babies. Okay, so I could take care of you through your whole pregnancy. I could deliver your baby. I could do a breast exam and I could give you a prescription for if you had mastitis, but I still didn't have the knowledge I needed on breastfeeding the way that I needed to do now. And that's why I became a lactation consultant, to be able to really support moms. So even though you're thinking, well, they're a doctor, or they're a midwife, they're going to know, it's not necessarily the truth.
No, definitely not. And especially in the NICU, where it is so crucial for those babies to have breast milk, and it can mean all the difference in the world. It's so great that you're taking the initiative yourself to get educated about this. I think that's awesome.
Totally. And you know what? This class, I have a lot of professionals who actually watch my Simply Breastfeeding class. And in that 90-minute class, they learn more than they did in everything they took in school.
Yep. Because it's real stuff. These are real issues that moms ask all the time. And that's what they need to know. Yeah,
it really is what they need to know. And it's really how to get off to the right start so that you can start off, not sabotaging right from the first minute. So many people get into that situation because they just don't know the facts.
Right.
They don't know the facts. So this is really, really great. I'm so happy you're here.
That's great.
Let's answer another question. What? Let me read Chelsea's comment. Wait a minute. I'm trying to get it on here. I'm trying to figure out how to get the comments on the screen here because it makes it easier for me. Hold on once. Oh yeah, okay, I got it. All right, Chelsea said, I love that you're trying to get facts to help your parents. I was told a bunch of old wives' tale myths from nurses about breastfeeding. Then I received bad advice from our first pediatrician. If it wasn't for Shari, I never would have gotten this far. 18 months. Yay. Chelsea, so happy for you. That's what's so great. It's like with the classes and with all these online live events, the Q&As, the opportunity to just reach out from here, my home, right to your home like this. I getting messages from all of you guys about your breastfeeding success, about, your parenting success, of just being able to get that good information, and it's made a difference for you. Can't tell you how happy that makes me. It keeps me up at night thinking of what else can I do? What's the next topic? What else can we film? And Rachel knows that I never stop. I've never stopped. But that's because I know that you guys need it, and I hope that these are really helpful for you. And that's, again, one of the reasons why we created what we did in the library and the membership is there's so much content. It needed a place to be organized so that you could sift through it and you could go through it. And I know there's some members here tonight in the chat room, and they can kind of chime in and tell you that, we've finally got it in a way where it's organized and it's indexed so that you can find things, and we're improving it every day. So that makes it easy for you because there is just so much, and there's so much to know.
It's so important to be able to look up your issue without going to 20 different sites and then trying to weigh out all the different advice to figure out which was advised more to make your decision about what to do.
Well, I think that's why it works for a lot of people here who've been with me for a long time, is sometimes you just need to find one trusted advisor, and it doesn't mean that you take all your advice from that same person, but you allow somebody to help guide you in the right directions. And you all know that I bring different experts on. It's not always me. Sometimes it's me answering questions, and lots of times it's me asking questions and interviewing and bringing you someone that can help. And, I think that's the important part, is to be able to find someone that you can trust and follow and reach out to.
Definitely.
And sometimes it's not somebody that's nearby. Hopefully sometimes it is. Sometimes it's just somebody online like myself. And I've met so many amazing people. So, all right, let's answer some more questions here. I did see a question. I don't know if I can scroll back and get to it, but someone said something about giving their baby water. It scrolled past quickly, and I just want to address that for a second. And actually, okay, this was Shannon, okay? And I think she was saying her pediatrician said to give her baby, her 6-month-old, some water. It's actually one, and I don't want to ruin any surprises for you, but it's actually part of the mini-series. So one whole day you're going to get is about water supplementation in infants. But I want you to know that breastfed babies do not need any water, ever, even on hot days. Okay, and that's actually the myth and the breastfeeding fact that you're going to get. I don't know if it's day 3 or whatever, but it's actually, they really don't need any they don't need any water, and water can actually be harmful to a breastfed baby. And the reason is because you don't want to give them any liquids that's not breast milk. Breast milk is like 88% water itself. So it's mostly water, and they're going to get all their hydration from it. By giving extra water or supplementation with water, you're replacing what they should be getting in breast milk, and there's no nutrition to it at all. So you're filling them with, fluid that has no nutritional value to it.
And it's going to make them full.
It can make them feel full, right? So then they breastfeed less, and even on hot days, your breast milk will adapt to be more watery so that your baby will become more hydrated. Our bodies are really smart like that. Like, it knows what to do. So we don't want to give water. And in fact, water to an infant can cause something called water intoxication or water poisoning. It can cause their sodium levels to drop. It can cause seizures in babies. It can really be a serious thing. So it's not you think it's water. Well, it's just water. It's not a benign thing for a baby. And so we'd never give water to a baby. And it's actually a really old wives' tale. It's actually an old practice. I remember, 25 years ago, 27 years, when I became a nurse, they were still giving water in the nursery. They were still giving, bottles with water and sugar water. And this is an old thing. And so if you have a mom or a grandma out there or somebody saying to you, well, we gave water. Yeah, they did, but we know we shouldn't. Right. So we also did use seatbelts for a long time too.
It doesn't mean it was the best practice.
There's a lot of things we didn't do that we do now because we know better. Okay. And so water is just, no. And if you have a pediatrician telling you to give water, I would question that. And then I would question everything else about that too. Everything else they're telling you too. So yeah, no water. But you'll learn all about that if you typed myths in the comments here, because you'll get it in my little mini series, right?
It's an important one.
It's a really important one. It's a huge one. And it's one of those ones, again, like I said, when I posted that the first time, it has thousands and thousands and thousands of shares and comments of people saying, oh my God, I didn't know this. I did. And my mother's telling me to give water.
Yep. I had a relative same thing, saying that, of course, it's hot out. What do you think? The baby's thirsty. I said, well, the baby's drinking and eating. It's the perfect food and drink. But yeah, it is definitely, you'll hear that from a lot of old school.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. Kate just posted something. I'm just going with the flow here today. What's this thing about babies being born with low sugar and the hospital telling the parents they need formula instead or something? Kate, I love you. All right. So what's this thing with low blood sugar? Let's talk about that for a minute. Low blood sugar. Okay. Because that's like, I would say Low blood sugar is probably one of the main reasons that babies are unnecessarily supplemented with formula, like within the first day.
Right.
All right. Babies, first, let's say this, first and foremost, they should not be testing your baby's blood sugar unless there is an indication to test it. That means that either you were diabetic during pregnancy, or the baby was born over a certain weight, very large for gestational age, or the baby is showing some kinds of signs of low blood sugar, tremors, or that there's a temperature too low, or there's things that, or the baby's respirations are too quick, or there's different signs that could tell us that the baby may be having an issue. But just doing it as a routine is not good. And nobody should be testing the blood sugar for no reason but just routine, because then when it comes back low, they got to do something about it. You don't have copious amounts of milk at birth. You have colostrum. These are little drops of liquid gold, we call it, right? Little drops of a thick yellowish type of substance that's loaded with antibodies and everything the baby needs to stay healthy and protected, but it's not actually giving them volume of food. All right. So that first 24 hours, at least, that baby's going to nurse a little. The baby's going to take a few drops of colostrum every couple hours, and they're going to sleep a lot. Their blood sugar is going to be a little bit low right after birth for the first 24 hours, which is normal. And as long as there's no symptoms, nobody should be supplementing the baby, because of course, if they test it and they say it's low, then they're going to say, well, you have no milk. You need to do formula. And this is where that downward spiral starts, because now the baby's drinking formula, the baby should be, and now the baby's too full, so the baby's not waking up, and now the baby won't go back to breast, and because they're sleeping too much, they want to give them more formula, and it starts a downward spiral. So blood sugar really is one of those things that when it is a problem and they're symptomatic, yes, it's serious, we need to deal with it. But if your baby's actually symptomatic from a low blood sugar, my thought would be then they probably need an IV with, fluids. They need sugar through an IV at that point. So I don't really know when I would do formula for low blood sugar like that. That's my answer. And truly, even if they were really needing it and they needed an IV for fluids like sugar in through the IV, then they're not getting any introduction of anything else into their gut, which is pretty important as well. So you're kind of protecting that microbiome, you're protecting that virgin gut, you're protecting them from taking anything else in and only coating with colostrum, plus the fact that colostrum is the thing that will bring up blood sugar the fastest. So you really, if the blood sugar is a little bit low, then the best thing to do is put the baby to breast and try to nurse and try to get a little colostrum into them and then test again. I'm going through this because I get this question a lot in my private consultations. These are the calls I get, are from parents in the hospital where they're testing sugars. And I'm like, why did they test the baby's sugar? It's just routine. They felt like they needed to. And now they need to do something about it. So I hope that answered your question, Kate. Yeah. It is sad that it happens so much. It's part of the issue. It's part of what we're talking about. A lot of routines. A lot of routines that don't really help to support long-term breastfeeding. Right.
And they're old routines and they need to be broken, and it's going to take a long time to break them.
Yep.
But they've already started, but this is they're still there.
Exactly. And Kate and Carrie just said, this is just one more reason why I had a home birth. That's true. I mean, when you're home, you are going to have less interference from everybody around you. Speaking of home birth, that was supposed to be our show this past week, but I was away and because of the snow, couldn't get home. So we're going to be doing it this Wednesday is our home birth episode. It's going to be fantastic. So make sure that you come watch. Excited about that. We have 2 midwives who do home births going to be on with us, plus Jessica, who is the producer and filmmaker of a movie called Why Not Home. She's actually a nurse practitioner, and she created this film to talk about why all these medical providers are now choosing home births. And we're talking about birth providers, OBGYNs, family practice doctors, midwives who actually do births in the hospital, choosing to have home births themselves. So Really great film. Yay, exciting. Yes, it is exciting. Okay. Back to just make sure anybody who jumped on late, let's just give them the info. Tonight's prizes, we have Rachel's Remedy. We have the new breast pads. These are the new breast pads from Rachel's Remedy. We also have the breast pillow, and anybody who wants to win one of those and a year-long membership to my private community, you need to love this post and comment here. Tell me why you need each one of these things, which one you would like to win. If you want to win all of them, you can do a different comment for every single one, and then we will choose winners. All right.
Yes.
I think we have time. Oh, yeah, we have more time. We have time for one more question. Let's take another question here that somebody submitted. Monica asked the question, do I have any tips on increasing fat content in breast milk? Her pediatrician wants her to start supplementing with formula, which she would prefer not to do. Thanks. Okay. No, you really can't increase the fat content of your breast milk. The fat content of your breast milk, you can change the fat, the type of fat that's in your milk based on what you're eating, but you can't increase fat content, meaning increase calorie content or anything like that. That has more to do with genetics, what kind of milk you make. Some people make much fattier milk than others, and you'll see those babies with rolls and rolls and rolls, and then you'll see some breastfed babies that are super lean, and both are normal. It's just what we make, and what we individually make. And fat content really is guided by how full or empty the breast is too. So that's probably something I would pay attention to. This is one of the things that she didn't give us how old her baby is. She's not telling us how much the baby's gaining or not gaining, or if the baby's losing weight, I don't know. But when the breast is more full, meaning farther, like you waited longer from one feeding to the next, or you're early on in the process, you're just in the first few weeks and the breast is still kind of engorged and your breast is really full, it tends to have more watery milk as it first starts to come out. That's the fore milk. And that really just happens when the breast is full. As the breast starts to empty and you start feeding what's there, eventually what starts to come out is the hind milk. And the hind milk has more fat content to it. It's more of the cream. It has more calories in it. But when the breast is not very full and you're doing feedings very short, close together, the milk is always more fatty. Or in the morning when your breast is more full, you may have more watery, thinner, lower calorie milk where the baby's hydrating. And then in the evening, as the milk supply is a little bit lower, you have less milk, but the milk has higher calorie content and more fat to it. One thing that I tell people to do, because what winds up happening, and you can imagine this, right? You just had your baby, your breasts are nice and full, you feed on one side, and all the nurses and everybody tells you do 20 minutes on each side. So you watch the clock and you feed the baby on one side and you say, okay, that side's done. And you take the baby off and you switch sides, and now you feed the baby on the other side, and you've got all this milk and the baby's peeing and the baby's pooping and you think everything's fine. And then you get to the pediatrician's office and the baby's not gaining any weight. What's happening? Is it because you have a low supply where now they're telling you start supplementing with formula? No, that's not necessarily the issue. The issue could just be that you're switching sides too soon or you're switching at all. And so maybe what needs to happen is that you need to stay on one side and finish that entire side for the entire feeding so you get to that nice, rich, creamy, high-fat hind milk. And then the next feeding, you do the other side. And sometimes in the beginning, you need to do one side at a time in order for the baby to get that fat so that the baby's gaining weight. And supplementing with formula is the absolute, you're completely in the wrong direction. Okay. Now, again, I don't have enough information from here. You could be not making enough milk. It could be a whole different situation. And when that's appropriate and supplementation is appropriate, yes. But from what I'm reading here, and you're asking me how to increase fat content of your milk, I have a feeling that it has more to do with switching sides. That's
another reason it's so important to empty your breast, not just because of mastitis or a clog, but that really important nutritional milk.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And sometimes doing like compression at the, when the baby's eating, doing some hand compression. So you hold the breast and you compress and you help to get all that last bit out. That will help as well to really get some of that, to get the baby to take a little bit more. And then the last thing also with, is about how much does a baby actually need to gain? Because it's like you're getting it on both ends. How much does a baby need to take? And then in the end, how much do they really need to gain? Are they just really gaining appropriately for a breastfed baby? And again, we're in this whole area of misconception, misinformation. The baby thinks they're telling you the baby needs to gain more than they need to. And so therefore you're not making enough, again, perceived, right? So, breastfed babies, my rule of thumb is they typically gain somewhere between 4 to 8 ounces per week on average. Okay. That means, and a lot of times moms are told they're supposed to be gaining an ounce a day. Maybe if they're formula fed and you can measure what's in the bottle and you can give them a consistent amount, you can force more down, they will gain an ounce a day more consistently. But breastfed babies don't do that. And so when we try to get them to gain that ounce a day and we're weighing them too frequently, and they're going to, some days they're just not going to gain anything. They're going to stay the same. And then some weeks they may gain only 2 ounces and other weeks they may gain 10 ounces. So that's why I say on average. Even weighing every week is not really the greatest thing to do. What you want to do is go back after a month and say, okay, so the baby gained this much in a month. Was that somewhere between 4 to 8 ounces on average? If that was the case.
Because they have spurts. They have growth spurts.
Exactly. Thank you. They do. They grow in spurts. Some weeks they're going to gain less. Some weeks they're going to gain more. Most importantly, what you're watching is, are they hydrated? Are they peeing? Are they pooping? Are they growing in length? Are they reaching all the milestones? Are they alert? Are they nursing well? Are they very sleepy, or are they like waking up to vigorously nurse? And do they seem satisfied after a feeding? And that doesn't necessarily mean that they're not crying, because they can cry all the time. But do you put them back to the breast, they fall back asleep again and just want to be there all the time? If that's the case, then very often it's just that they're gaining slower, and breastfed babies can gain slower, and it's still a normal thing. And it's not the first thing that I turn to is supplementation. So there you go. That was a long answer.
It was good though.
That was a long answer. Oh my goodness. Are you
packed? Just like the hind milk.
What'd you say?
Just like the hind milk. It was action packed. It had good stuff in it.
It's so funny because we talk about some of the same things over and over and over again, because they're the biggest problems that moms are facing every single day.
Definitely.
It's just my mission to keep reinforcing the truth about this stuff. Keep reinforcing the basics, the correct information, to say it as many times as I can, because every single day we have another new mom on here who's never heard it before, and she's struggling with the same problem. And I know there's so many moms who struggle with breastfeeding. The worst possible thing I could think of is a mom who's really not struggling, who's really not having any issues, who's doing really fantastic and she doesn't know it.
Yeah.
And because she doesn't know it, and because everyone around her is not reinforcing that she is doing great.
Doing great, right? Yeah, exactly.
She winds up stopping and questioning herself, and then not reaching her own personal breastfeeding goals because she just didn't know that she was doing as great as she was.
Right. I mean, it's like anything. You're never sure. You never feel like you're doing the best job, even though you very well may be. I've seen so many repeat moms on their second or third baby with totally new issues, totally different each time a woman breastfeeds a baby. It's never the same.
Never.
So someone who's a seasoned breastfeeder may have no idea about a clog or mastitis or any of it. So, or tongue tie, that's another huge thing. And they may not understand why the baby's having trouble nursing. And so it's always new, no matter how many times you've done it.
Totally. Absolutely. I wanted to show some pictures. we recently did a model search for the breast pillow. And these are moms who are part of our community who were in the DC area who submitted their photos to be part of or submitted applications to be part of the photo shoot. And the photo shoots took place this past week, and we have photos of them with the breast pillow. So I wanted to show a few of those pictures real quick because they are real mamas who are, some of them might even be here in the chat with us. So I just want to show you. So great, right? So here's the breast pillow, and in all of the nice sizes. And if you're going to get the pillow, please make sure that you follow the measurements on this site. Joe's posting the link here for the breast pillow to be able to measure, because your cup size may not be the cup size that it really is. Let's just say that. You may think you're one cup size and you're actually another, and this has to really fit well so that it's not protruding into the baby and interfering with your latch. So you want to get the right one, okay?
Right.
Okay, wait, hold on. Caitlin's saying, I love that you're drinking wine. Okay, for the record.
Here we go.
You know, it looks like wine, but it's really not. It looks like wine.
I'll prove it.
And I'll tell you right now, Caitlin, if I was drinking wine through this whole thing, I could not have done what I just did. There's no way I could have talked the way I did. So yeah, I like to be fancy in my fancy glass, but it's really not a fancy drink.
I feel too guilty for any of those nursing moms who are wanting to have the wine and not.
But not nursing moms can drink wine.
I know.
Can drink wine.
Don't so.
Breastfeeding experts can't drink wine and talk intelligently. But breastfeeding moms can drink wine and still breastfeed their babies. That's for another night.
That's fine.
That's for another night. But breastfeeding experts cannot.
No.
They have to wait for the show to be over.
I think we can, but in hindsight, not so much.
We have to wait for the show to be over, for sure. All right, so let's show some pictures here. Okay, so we got beautiful moms using the breast support pillow. Look how cool this is. These were the greatest photos. I'm so excited.
Love these.
I'm so excited for all of them. Look how beautiful.
Love these.
And you could see that, that's it right there, is that little white pillow holding the breast up. And you can see it. It creates a hands-free experience, when yeah, right, because you can really get the baby right to the nipple, and the breast is not falling out of the baby's mouth.
Right. Again,
These moms don't have, very, very large breasts. It works for all different sizes, and even smaller breasts can, sag down or be heavy with all the milk. And so it kind of pulls out of the baby's breast. This lets you be hands-free. So I really love it. And I love these pictures. I was dying to show them to you guys. So aren't they great?
I love the eye contact.
Mm-hmm. Well, it just gives you that extra hand.
Yeah.
How many of you guys in the chat room who are nursing know what I'm talking about? Like where you actually have to hold your breast to get a good latch? Or you roll up a towel or a washcloth, like a lot of people do that where they roll up a towel or a burp pad or something and put it. And a lot of people tell me they've never seen, where was this product?
I didn't know about the product. I would have loved this product.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great idea. Wow.
So there you go. So that is the breast pillow, and that's going to be one of our prizes tonight. And that's a great picture. Isn't that cute?
Beautiful, Mama.
All right, so that's one of the prizes tonight. And so again, just comment here and let us know if you want to win. And Rachel, our night is over. It goes so fast. I can't
believe it. How could it be over so fast?
Too fast.
So much fun.
Too fast.
Thanks for having me on, and thanks to all of you beautiful mothers out there working so incredibly hard for your babies. You are amazing.
Oh yeah. You know what? I'm so happy. Thank you for creating such wonderful products for moms to support them, and for supporting the show and being a part of it, and helping me to provide this information to everybody, because it makes a difference. It makes a huge difference.
It does, and I love what you're doing. So
thank you so much. Yes. Thank you. And thank you guys. Let's get some hearts going across the screen. We didn't do the hearts tonight for all the questions. We usually do that, but let's get some hearts going across the screen if you enjoyed. Did you learn something tonight? I'd love to know what you learned, and you could comment. Tell me one thing that you learned tonight that you just didn't know before, because I want to know that even if you've been watching for a long time, that each time you tune in, there's something new that maybe I can say for you or help you with that you didn't know before. And if there's nothing new, just say I had a good time. Hopefully you did. And everybody have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. And make sure that you type myth into the comments here, or myths into the comments here, and so that you get my little mini series. And I'll see you all Wednesday night for the home birth show.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. Bye, everybody. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Rachel.
Thanks, Shari.
Okay. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
I don't know. I'm shutting off. I'm trying. It won't turn off.